Hi, this is Helen from the Therapy Hub, and I'm dropping in again today to talk a little bit more about stress. So, for the last few weeks, I've been dropping in on a Monday to talk a little bit about stress. The first week, we were sort of looking at stress and noticing how it turned up, and sort of thinking about scaling it and how bad it was. Then we've been looking at how it shows up for you physically and how to use breathing to calm it down. And today I wanted to talk a little bit more about the mind and how stress can show up in the mind, how it can affect you in your mind. Um, Personally, I do believe in the mind body connection. So you may have heard me talk about that before, where I really believe that it's interlinked. So the mind and body are actually interlinked with each other. So for me, the mind and the body, the physical and the mental parts of stress are interlinked, and they do kind of feed off each other because our mind and our body work as one, they're not separate. So I'll talk a bit about the mind, but bearing in mind that that does actually link with your body. So what sorts of symptoms could you experience if you're suffering with stress? What mental things could you be suffering from? Well, it could be things like frustration. So it might be that because of your stress, you get frustrated because you're not able to focus on the things as easily that you need to do. It could be at work or it could be at home, that your ability to focus is not as good because you are stressed. So you get frustrated as well with yourself. So the two are kind of interlinked again. Because you can't focus because of the stress, then you become frustrated with yourself. You may also become frustrated with other people as well, and you might become rather impatient. Quite often the lack of ability to focus is because when we're stressed, we kind of are worrying about one or a few things going on in our life. It might be at work or it might be at home, or it might be a combination of the two. So those things are sort of upmost on our minds, and we tend to see those as sort of like a perceived threat. And those are the things that we really are thinking about, even if it's subconsciously and we're not aware of it in that moment. So it can make it difficult to actually focus on all those other tasks that need to be done. And some of them might be mundane, but it's really quite hard to focus on them when you're feeling stressed, because your mind is really concentrating on those perceived threats that you're worrying about and stressed about. So it can affect your focus. And as a result of that, you can kind of become frustrated with yourself because you're aware that you're not focusing. Or you might become frustrated with other people because they are questioning why you can't focus. And then they might be putting pressure on you to achieve those tasks, to complete those tasks. But you've not been able to do it because you're stressed. So it all becomes sort of like building up into this sort of like almost snowball effect where things sort of like roll and build on each other. So it can affect you in that way. And also if you're suffering with lack of sleep, which is kind of like mental, physical side of stress as well, it might be that you're worrying about things and you're stressed and you're finding it hard to get off to sleep because you're worrying about what's going to happen the next day or the next week. So you find it hard to get off to sleep, or your sleep is broken because you suddenly wake up in the night and then you start worrying and then you're stressed. Then that also has an effect on your focus as well. So it's going to make it harder for you to focus because you're tired, you're drained, you're exhausted, and your brain's ability to focus is then diminished. And it can actually affect the way your brain works and your memory. So all of it, that's why it's all kind of interlinked with each other. So it's quite hard to separate it in a sense. So those are some of the things you can be struggling with mentally with stress. You may have a short temper as well. You may find that your temper fuse is kind of like shortened, and you easily snap at people because you haven't got time for that kind of thing, you know. So all your focus really is on the thing that you're stressed about and you're worrying about, and anything else kind of gets pushed aside in a sense. So if people start making you know, they make demands on you, they want you to do things, if they question things about you, or sometimes it can be just like really little things, you know, that you're just not able to deal with, something extra piled on top of the stress that you're dealing with at the time. So it could be something as simple as a child asking you for something at home, or for somebody talking to you at work, not necessarily making a demand of you, but asking you something. And you might just suddenly snap because that is making an extra demand on you that you can't cope with in that moment. So you may find that your temper is shortened as well. So it's several things really, you know, it's the focus, it's frustration, it's anger, it's shortened temper. You may find you get upset easily, you know, you might find that little things trigger you, that somebody makes a comment and in their view it may be an innocent comment, but you may take that a little bit more personally than you would normally if you weren't stressed, because you're feeling sensitive because of the stress that you're under. So it can make you feel sensitive to people's comments and things that are going on around you, and make you get upset easily. So you may find that you become tearful because you can't manage the things that are going on. You may find that you're thinking about stuff all the time as well, you know, overthinking situations and worrying about things constantly. And then it becomes this sort of like cyclical stress that's going on really, and you tend to feed it, tends to feed itself and goes round and round. So it's a bit like the lack of sleep as well. When you start getting that lack of sleep and broken sleep, and then the next day that actually feeds into your stress because it makes you more sensitive to your stress. It makes you drained and tired and you can't focus, so then you get frustrated, then your temper might be shortened, you might get more upset easily. So the sleep factor actually is quite a big thing involved in the stress too. So it could be any number of things mentally really related to the stress. So it might be useful again to just have a little think about how you, if you're struggling with stress at the moment, have a think about how you are experiencing stress mentally at the moment. You know, how do you feel in general? How are your emotions? You know, what are you like when you're stressed compared to when you've not been stressed? For example, maybe when you've been on holiday and you've had a relaxing time, that can be very, very different to how you feel when you're under stress. So, you know, comparing times when you're really relaxed, maybe having several days of relaxation, because it can take several days to kind of slip out of that stress routine, that stress cycle. So it would probably be a holiday or something like that, where you get time to actually slip out of that cycle of stress, where you can compare how you feel when you're not under that stress to when you are under stress. So it might be useful to do that if you're a little bit unsure about how you are being triggered mentally when you're under stress. Just think about the last time when you were on a holiday or when you had a break and you weren't under stress and you had time and you could relax. Just have a little think about it and make a little note, comparing the two, which would be quite useful. So that's what I thought I'd just pop in and talk about today, as we have talked about some other areas of stress already. So I just wanted to talk a little bit more about the mental side of stress and how it can affect you. I hope if you've been watching the previous videos that you've had a chance to start practicing the breathing technique, because it is very useful. And if you can practice that every day, you really do start to notice the benefits of it. So it is really a very useful tool. Now, I do also have a new freebie coming up on my Facebook page, which is all to do with stress. It is a technique actually that you can use with anything. So if usually I talk about anxiety, so stress and anxiety again are kind of interlinked, because long-term stress tends to lead into anxiety and then coping strategies and all sorts of things. So if you're someone who's suffering with stress or anxiety at the moment, or symptoms, physical or mental symptoms from stress, then you will find this freebie really useful, because it's a technique that I will demonstrate to you. I will show you how to use it. I'll explain where it comes from. I'll explain how to do it. I'll talk you through how to do it. So you can sign up for that next week. So I will be talking, I'll be popping in a bit more again on Friday, just to talk about the freebie in a bit more detail. But do look out for that, because that's going to be coming up next week. And that will be another useful tool for you to use to help you to reduce stress, okay, and all those symptoms of stress that we've been talking about over the last couple of weeks. So do look out for that. I'll be popping in on Friday to talk a bit more about it, hopefully live. I'm hoping to be in live. So I'll talk about that on Friday, and then the following week, you'll be seeing it pop up on my Facebook page. So you'll be able to sign up there, and you'll be able to sign up at the top of my Facebook page as well if you click sign up. So do look for that next week, because that is a really helpful tool. Anyway, in the meantime, have a think about your mental symptoms of stress, okay? And just another little noticing exercise, and just notice what sort of symptoms are coming up for you, and maybe again give them a number and see how bad they are, and notice when they peak and trough throughout the week, or where you are when you're suffering from those things. Is it at home? Is it at work? Is it a social situation? So just look at that. Okay, and I'll be popping in Friday for a live video, hopefully. If not, it'll be recorded, to talk about my new freebie, which will be stress orientated, and it'll be a technique to teach you, to help you. Okay, I hope you have a good week, and I'll see you soon. Bye.